Alright, this might be one of the most surprising retro announcements we've seen in a long time, and depending on who you are, this is either a dream come true or something you're immediately writing off because of the price tag. SNK has officially revealed the Neo Geo AES Plus, a full-scale revival of one of the most legendary home consoles ever made, and it's set to launch on November 12th, 2026. Not a mini console, not a plug-and-play nostalgia box, not a streaming device. This is being positioned as a true successor to the original Neo Geo AES, and that distinction matters more than anything else we're going to talk about today. To understand why this is such a big deal, you have to understand what the original Neo Geo AES represented. Back in the 90s, this wasn't just another console. It was essentially an arcade machine you could put in your living room. The build quality, the performance, the games, everything about it screamed premium, and that came at a cost. The system itself was expensive, and the cartridges were on another level entirely. Owning a Neo Geo wasn't common. It was something enthusiasts aspired to, and that's exactly the energy SNK is trying to bring back with the AES Plus. Now here's where things get really interesting, because SNK is making a very bold claim with the system. This is not emulation. This is not FPGA. This is a hardware-faithful re-implementation using re-engineered ASIC chips designed to replicate the original system as closely as possible. That means when you're playing on the AES Plus, you're not running a software approximation of Neo Geo hardware. You're running something that is fundamentally designed to behave like the original Silicon. And if you're deep into retro gaming, you already know that distinction is massive. There's always been this debate between convenience and authenticity, and SNK is very clearly planting their flag on the authenticity side. But authenticity alone doesn't sell a console in 2026, so SNK has layered in modern features without compromising that original experience. You're getting low latency HDMI output for modern displays, which is essential because no one wants input lag ruining arcade perfect gameplay. At the same time, they didn't abandon the old school crowd. You still get original AV output if you're running a CRT setup. That's a level of respect for the audience that you don't always see. On top of that, there are DIP switches that let you tweak things like language, display modes, and even overclocking, which adds a layer of customization that the original hardware didn't really offer in a user-friendly way. And for anyone who's ever chased high scores in arcade games, the addition of permanent high score saving, assuming you have a memory card, is a small but meaningful upgrade that fits perfectly with the system's identity. Now let's talk about what might be the single most important feature of the AES Plus, and that's full compatibility with original Neo Geo AES cartridges. This is huge. This isn't a closed ecosystem where you're forced to rebuy games digitally or rely on a curated library. If you already own original carts, you can use them. No workarounds, no adapters, no nonsense. Just plug them in and play. That kind of backward compatibility is almost unheard of in modern hardware releases, and it instantly elevates the AES Plus from being just another retro device to something that actually respects the history of the platform. Of course, there's a flip side to that, and it's something you can't ignore. Neo Geo games have always been expensive, and they still are. So while it's amazing that your original cartridges work, the barrier to entry for new collectors is still very real. This isn't a system where you're going to casually build a library overnight unless you're willing to spend serious money. And that's where the AES Plus starts to reveal exactly who it's for, because this is not targeting casual players. It's targeting enthusiasts, collectors, and people who care deeply about preserving the original experience. The pricing reinforces that point even further. The standard edition is coming in at $249.99, which on the surface might not seem outrageous compared to modern consoles, but when you consider what this device actually is, it's going to feel expensive to a lot of people. Then you've got the Anniversary Edition at $349.99, and the Ultimate Edition at a staggering $999.99. That top tier is clearly aimed at hardcore collectors who want the full premium package, whatever that ends up including. And while it's easy to look at those numbers and immediately react, it's worth remembering that Neo Geo has always lived in that premium space. In a strange way, this pricing is completely in line with the brand's history. Another detail that really drives home the authenticity angle is the included arcade stick. This isn't a cheap pack-in controller. It's a full one-to-one replica of the original Neo Geo arcade stick designed to mirror the control panels found on SNK's MVS arcade cabinets. It connects using the classic 15-pin connector, which means it works with original hardware and original sticks work with the AES Plus. That level of cross-compatibility is something that retro fans are going to appreciate immediately, because it shows that SNK isn't just recreating the console, they're preserving the entire ecosystem around it. And then you have the launch lineup, which is honestly stacked. You've got titles like Metal Slug, Garou Mark of the Wolves, The King of Fighters 2002, Samurai Showdown Special, Shock Troopers, Magician Lord, Polestar, and more. This isn't a weak or filler heavy lineup. This is a collection of some of the most iconic games the Neo Geo ever had. If you're jumping into this ecosystem for the first time, you're getting access to some of the best arcade experiences ever made right out of the gate. So when you step back and look at everything the AES Plus is offering, it becomes clear that this isn't trying to compete with PlayStation, Xbox, or even the Switch. It's not designed for mass market appeal, and it's not trying to win over people who just want convenience. This is a statement piece. It's SNK saying that there's still value in doing things the old way, in prioritizing authenticity, and in building hardware that feels as premium as the games it plays. And whether you agree with that approach or not, it's hard not to respect the commitment. At the same time, you have to be honest about the limitations. The price is going to be a barrier. The cost of games is going to be a barrier. And for a lot of people, the idea of investing in a system like this just isn't going to make sense when there are so many cheaper ways to play retro titles. Emulation exists, collections exist, FPGA systems exist. The AES Plus isn't competing with those on value. It's competing on experience, and that's a much harder sell unless you've already invested in what it represents. That's really what this comes down to. The Neo Geo AES Plus is not about accessibility. It's about authenticity. It's about recreating a very specific moment in gaming history and delivering it in a way that feels as close to the original as possible, while still acknowledging the realities of modern hardware. For some people, that's going to be incredibly exciting. For others, it's going to feel unnecessary, and both perspectives are valid. But I will say this, announcements like this are rare. We don't often see companies take this kind of approach, especially in an industry that's constantly chasing the next big thing. The AES Plus is looking backward, but it's doing so with intention, and that alone makes it worth paying attention to. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future uploads. And if you want to go a step further and support the channel, check out my Patreon. My latest exclusive dives into whether or not Xbox exclusives are actually dead, and it's a conversation you're not going to want to miss. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are you interested in the Neo Geo AES Plus, or is this just too expensive for what it offers? Until next time, game on.